Welcome to the Officer Autumn Show podcast, the realest and most upfront podcast designed specifically for female first responders. I'm your host, Autumn Clifford, and I hope you enjoy this podcast. I'm really excited to introduce you to our guest today. Shelley, can you please introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Shelley Massengill, and I'm a wife, mom of 4 amazing daughters. I should preface, I'm a wife to my wife. My neighbor thinks that I'm her husband, which is so fun. I find it hilarious. But I am not. I am not her husband. I am her wife. I am a life coach, a Nam yoga teacher, a Intensati leader, and for the purposes and importance on this call, I have been a New Jersey State Trooper. I'm in my 18th year now in the New Jersey State Police.
18
and
years.
I do
what a long
18
time,
years.
man.
Yeah, and I do have to say for that my opinions expressed today are mine alone. I'm not here to represent the New Jersey State Police in any way. So they are my opinions and mine alone.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that little intro, like everything. You know what I love the most about this, and I really want to highlight it for our listeners, is you didn't come right out the gate with, I'm a cop. It was, no. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and I'm a life coach, and I'm, the yoga, is it yoga?
Nam yoga, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nam yoga. And I know you're really into a lot of spiritual shit because you and I really connect with that stuff. And I just want to say, like, I just respect that a lot, because I do think that in this job, we get really caught up with what our identity actually is,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when I say I'm in my 18th year, it's taken me probably most of those years to realize how important it is to come back to ourselves. And I mean, it really is so easy for our identity to shift and become the work and become the job. But the work is making sure that we stay in touch with our own truth and our own heart. And I think it's important for everyone, but I really think that's vital for women because there's such an expectation, perceived or otherwise, that we play a role and that we become a certain way. But what I would often say to a young applicant or someone who's interested in applying or interested in law enforcement is, what is your why? Why do you want to do this job? What is your reason for wanting to be here? And that is what connects back to the self to then move forward into the career. And it's so easy, I think, to lose sight of that along the way. And it makes sense because there's specific training, right? We have to be trained a certain way, and we have to be mindful in ways that we were never mindful before starting this type of a job. But being able to connect that back to why am I here helps us, I believe anyway, to stay present with ourselves in any given moment, which comes back to tactics and helps us with those, in those tactical moments as well.
I think that's so important. I just want to highlight that, like, why did you get into the job, right? Like, we kind of had a sidebar before this, but like, why you were here, why you're in the job, like, and not losing sight of that. Yeah.
Huge. Absolutely. And it can change over time, right? But when we come, like, especially when we're first starting out, we've got to stay connected with that first reason why. For me, I mean, there was numerous things along my life to begin with, but that deciding factor really was when September 11th, 2001 happened. And I was working in corporate HR, and I was like, I got to do more. I've got to do more. I have to be of bigger service. I was in a service-oriented job because it was human resources, but I just felt the push to do more. And that's, I had I felt driven towards law enforcement or military, something prior to that. But that really was my like, I've got to go, I've got to give, I have to be and do more.
Yes.
And it wasn't just I want to help people, but that was a huge part of it, right? So many applicants and so many of our recruits, like, why did you want the job? Well, I want to help people. Okay, but why? Go deeper. What is it specifically that you want to, why do you want to help people?
Mm-hmm.
And well, you know what? I just want to be a better service, a bigger service.
Mm.
Um, and so for me, that was my driving factor. And honestly, I don't know. I don't think that has changed over the years. I said it could change, but when I really think about it, it really hasn't changed. Who I'm helping and who I'm serving has shifted and morphed
Mm-hmm.
over time, just based on my various assignments.
Mm-hmm.
Where now it's more like an outreach towards other law enforcement members, other first responders, to come back and be in touch with themselves.
Mm.
Whether it's from that very beginning person and mentoring and coaching there, or someone who's been on for years, or even someone who's coming towards retirement, how do we reconnect
That's
with
it.
the self?
So true. So good. Shelley, can we talk? I'd love to talk a little bit about like what your experience has been being a woman in the job
Mm-hmm.
and any advice that you would give to, we have a lot of women coming into the job. We have like newer, women in the job. Like, can we talk about that? Like, what do you have to say? Lay it on me. Tell me everything.
Well, I I have had a blessed career. I I will say,
Love it.
um, and I so from an assignment standpoint, I started off on the road. We all do. Um,
Yep.
we all have to do a minimum of 3, now 5 years on the road, um, and then I moved into some other positions, governor's security. So I was in our executive protection unit. I was an instructor at our academy, in self-defense, and then on our technical support squad. I was in our selection process unit. I was a recruiter. I was in our professional development unit, so helping to work. It's kind of like an HR position, working with
Mhm.
other troopers and professionally developing in that way. And I feel like I might be skipping something, but it doesn't, it really is neither here nor there. And now I've been the most relevant thing right now is I am in equal employment opportunity investigations. And so that, when it comes to gender and anything that relates to the EEO policy, we were investigating things of that nature.
Cool.
So, I say that to say that when I talk about being a female on the job, I'm always thinking from that perspective
Mhm.
of, is this a gender based situation? Is it based on race? Is it based on a protected category? Or is this an experience that I am having because
Mm.
I expect to be treated differently because I'm female?
Ah.
Um, so, and that's a recent shift in perspective for myself in my own career. I I had actually didn't have, um, I really haven't had any situations where I felt like I was singled out for being female, or, believe it or not. However, I throughout the academy, I always felt like, and my classmates and I would talk about this, like, I graduated with 2 other females. We would talk about how we felt like we had to always rise above. We always had to be a step above. We always had to be, especially in PT and self-defense, we always had to stand out. Not stand out from the class, but we always had to be a step ahead and a bit better in order to not stand out, if that makes sense, because
Yeah,
it
makes
always
total
felt like there was an expectation that we would fail because we were female.
sense.
Now, that uh, now having been an academy instructor, I'm not certain that that is true necessarily, but the feeling is there, and I think that's what it comes back to, is the feeling, the feeling of what's going on. Um, Now, I do know that there have been other women that I have worked with, um, and this is prior to my current assignment. I know that there are things that happen where women are treated differently, and it's uncomfortable. And there's a fear, and for me on the road, there is a fear that if I don't take every job, if I don't jump on it, if I'm not like, again, rising above, I'm not going to have the backup.
Mm,
Nobody's going to be there to back me up. Now, by the grace of God, I did have the backup. I always had at least one buddy, if not more, on the squad who I would ride with on our midnights, or, that we would team up. And, I was never singled out, but I always felt like I had to just do better and do better in order to not be singled out. And I
mm,
can't say that I've ever heard one of my male counterparts feel that way.
yeah. Huge, huh?
Yeah, for sure, for
So
sure. And
what would you tell the woman right now that who's feeling that way? Like, what would you give her for advice?
um, first, first I would ask if, are you showing up as yourself?
Mm,
How are you showing up? And does it feel right to you? For me, it always felt like I always felt like I was being myself. I was showing up to a job because I wanted to show up to a job. I had those thoughts in the back of my head, but then I would forget about it, in the moment. So I'm like, you know what? I want to do this job.
that's
Like,
it.
this is a great invest. Like,
That's it.
somebody got their weed whacker stolen and I'm going to find out who it was,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
um, for somebody now, I would say, is, where do you feel like you could be falling short?
Mm,
Is it like, how true is it that, you may not have the backup, and you know what? It might be true. It
mhm.
might be. And then, of course, we have to explore that a little bit more, because that's hard.
Yeah.
Like, it's scary, and that is a hard thing. So I think it's hard to give advice, like, general, for me anyway. It's hard for me to give generalized advice on something like that without knowing, specifics, because so many departments are different. To a young trooper, I would say, who is a friend on the squad, who's somebody who you can go to as a mentor on your squad or at your station, um, who's somebody you can talk to there about this, um, and then, who can you ask for guidance,
Mm,
that you work directly with, who might be able to help you to, like, what are the expectations, to understand better the expectations of members of your squad.
yeah. That's really good advice. Did you how did you like the academy? What was the academy like for you 18 years ago?
I mean, it sucked.
Mm,
Just like it's supposed to. Um, Interesting now, because I was an instructor for 3 classes, and some of the experiences blend together a little bit. And, like, was I an instructor or was I a recruit during that time?
mhm.
But yeah, I mean it. There were so many ups and downs, and um, it was like really just staying for me to get through. And I think it holds true for all of us who were there. It was just like one moment at a time, like, all right, from this minute to this minute, from now we're going to this block of instruction, all right, we've got 2 more things until we get to eat lunch, all right, now we got lunch, we can breathe for 30 seconds, and okay, now we've got, these 2 blocks of instruction or PT, and then we get to have dinner. Okay, that day we got that. Now we've got guard duty. It was just one moment and one block at a time.
Yes.
And that was the only way that I knew to get through that suck.
Yep.
Um, but talk about life changing and character building and all of the things that, we say, like, hey, this will change you. Um, it absolutely did. So in hindsight, it was a wonderful experience. Would I want to go through it again necessarily? Maybe not so much.
Hmm.
Not so much. But would I? Absolutely.
How was it being an
Absolutely
instructor?
would. It was awesome. It was
Was it?
awesome. Yeah, I absolutely loved it. Um, yeah, absolutely loved it.
What would you give advice for a new recruit coming through, like preparing for the academy?
Um, well, definitely make sure to work out, work hard, do your running. Now I can't speak for other academies. I can only speak for ours,
That's okay.
so with, what, like doing recruiting events and stuff, what I always tell applicants is, body train with your body weight exercises, look at the things, we have it posted on our website, what's expected, but really focus on those body weight exercises and running, get yourself built up to that 5 miles, minimum of 5 miles at an 8-minute mile pace so that you can comfortably run it so that you're not getting injured while you're in the academy. So your physical stamina, your nutrition, getting your body in the best possible shape. And then outside of our body, well, not really inside of our body, but the mindset. Like that is the absolute most important thing that we've got to develop. So what I reiterate is come back to your why. Like I'll ask them, why do you want to do this job? Tell me why. And now tell me more about why you want to do this job. And let's go deeper and deeper until it's really connected, that heart-mind connection, because the body is going to do anything we tell it to, right? As long as our mind says you can keep going, if you're in some degree of physical shape, the body will keep going. It will listen. But when we start to give up in our mind, then that's when we start to, and that's when we disconnect from our reason why we started and the reason why we wanted to do this.
Yes.
So come back to why. Why do you want to be here? Why?
And I think that why, like you said, is just going to get us through so much more. I have a lot of women that reach out to me and they are like in the middle of the academy telling me how much it sucks, or they're so afraid to go into the academy. And I think that's a really great piece of advice for anyone struggling. Like, go back to your why. Like, why, and connect there. That's excellent. Now, how long do you, what's your retirement in New Jersey? How long do you have to be there?
We can retire at 20 years in order to get at least a portion of the pension. We have a mandatory retirement at the age of 55.
Yeah.
So, and then you can, if you can, like I will age out 4 months after I complete my 25th year. So I really can't do too much more. But you can keep going, 25 is the full pension. And then it's like some small percentage for every year after that, which I can't do. So I really never looked at, to be honest.
So as we talked about in your introduction, you have a lot going on outside of the job. Can we talk a little bit about that? Like, how did you get so involved with things outside of the job, and why?
Well, before I became a trooper, I was actually a Reiki practitioner. So I was into like if you want to call it the woo-woo, I was into the spiritual stuff and energy work prior to getting into law enforcement. But I studied martial arts for many years, and through martial arts, Ruku Kempo and small circle jujitsu, pressure point theory, self-defense. And I say I did because I haven't actively trained for a few years. Man, I miss it. Anyway, we do digress. So through the martial arts practice, we would talk a lot about journaling and your mindset, obviously, right? It's in martial arts, of course, it's all about mindset. And I started thinking like, if I'm in here doing this physical training and we're breathing a certain way, and then we're going to go journal. And then my instructor at the time studied a lot of Tony Robbins. And so now we're talking like incantations. And, if we do all these things, why not put it all together? Like, let's find a way to put it all together. And from there, I stumbled upon this amazing practice called Intensati, created by the Patricia Moreno, who, bless her soul, has recently passed. But she created this practice called Intensati, inten for intention, sati for mindfulness. It combines positive affirmations or spoken word incantations, if you will, physical movement. And so we're combining our mind, our body, our physiology into a high, an intense physical cardio aerobic workouts. So we're throwing punches, but we're calling them strong. And we're doing jumping jacks, but we're calling them now, and then we're saying like phrases and words like, I am strong now, putting this all together into like an hour-long workout. And like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is the spiritual, this is the mind, this is the body, this is the thing that brings it all together. From there, I was introduced to the practice of Nam Yoga, which is neuroactivating advanced meditation. And it's a form of yoga that puts together mantras, so the spoken word, mudras, hand positionings, meditation. It combines the meridian system of the body. So we bring in some Eastern philosophy, breath work, of course, right, because it's yoga, and then the physical movement part of it, or the Shakti. So we have Shakti Nam. I teach a class called Shakti Nam. So again, here we have the spiritual, metaphysical aspect of things. And so as I combined those practices and then became a life coach, that was through working with one of my mentors in the state police, who was talking about life coaching. Like, that sounds amazing. Amazing. So I became a life coach. And so it's the combination of those practices that I began to realize how much that each changed my life and helped me to show up better at work.
Yes.
And helped me to be better able to, whether, by then I was off the road, but, maybe working in overtime detail or something, like just how to show up better in situations. And it all just helped me to be more confident in a way that, it just changed how I showed up, whether it was with coworkers or is with coworkers or the general public or whatever. And I also noticed that each individual person, for the most part, would show up differently around me.
Ooh.
And that, I mean, that's probably a whole podcast in and of itself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe we won't go down that road, but they showed up differently around me because my energy was different.
So powerful.
Yeah.
So powerful. So, and do you think, and I know you've said this, but I'm just going to ask the question. Do you think that having those outlets, would you say that has been like, because when we started this conversation, you said, I've had a really blessed career. I've had a good career. I know a lot of officers can't say that or won't say that. Maybe they can say that, but they actually just won't because they don't have like a good mindset about it. Right. And, you seem to be very positive and very upbeat. And so would you say that having those outlets, having those focuses, that make you like a better person? Do you think that has been helpful in maintaining like a long career?
Absolutely.
Successful career?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And those are the things that I enjoy. And those are also practices that I can bring to others, to maybe help guide, whether it's giving just a little bit of a breath work or, just options. But, it's different for everyone, but I think that is so important. Like, I mean, beyond important, it's absolutely vital that we find a positive outlet, something that's not going home and drinking in excess. Not to say you can't have, a glass of wine or a beer or whatever here and there. If if you like that sort of thing, there's nothing wrong with it, but be mindful, be mindful of what it is, be mindful of what we're putting in our bodies, and being mindful of our emotional diet. What are we talking about on a daily basis? Are we complaining? How much are we complaining about? Because you know what, there is a hell of a lot of shit to complain about in this world, in this job. Oh my gosh, the media, like all of the things. So how much, like, what are you taking in? And for me, it's these practices, because they're all about especially in Tensati, it's about becoming conscious and conscious of our thoughts and our words and our actions, and realizing that we can shift our state. We have the power to shift our state when we recognize that we're in a state that doesn't feel good. and
Yes.
when we have that outlet, whether it's, CrossFit or running or whatever it is, when we have that outlet that helps us to shift physically,
Mhm.
then the feeling changes, the feeling in our body changes, and that helps to shift how we're thinking, and then that helps to shift things on the outside. So it's a positive cyclical effect.
Mhm.
And I think it's so easy, and especially early in our careers. I know it was for me, but I think it's so easy to fall into those patterns of negative talk and negative thinking and complaining, and hearing, maybe somebody who's midway through their career who's disgruntled or frustrated with something, and then as that junior person, you're like, oh man, that really sucks. And now we're looking for all the suck, right? And we're looking for all the things that are really crappy. And next thing you pull up at a motorist aid and somebody starts screaming at you, and it's just like one thing
Right.
after another. But when we can
Right.
catch it and say, wait a minute, this person's sucky experience doesn't have to be mine. It
Yes.
doesn't have to be mine. What can I find in my day that can be a positive? And how can I maybe show up to help cheer them up a little bit? What can I do? Which can, it, and that can be very difficult, of course, but we've got to be mindful of what we're taking in, and then have those personal tools to be able to shift ourselves out of it, even if it's, maybe you got to walk outside the station or outside, and get back in your car, and maybe you bounce up and down a couple times outside your car. I don't know,
Yeah.
like, you do whatever it
Mhm.
takes to change your state, to change
Mhm.
your mindset, to get yourself back into, what feels good, that that good centered feeling. Because I'll tell you, when you have that good centered feeling, you're going to show up better, and you're going to show up safer, to each and every, whether it's a car stop or a domestic, whatever it is, you're going to show up safer when you feel good in your body, when you feel good in yourself, and you're going to have
Yes.
better interactions.
I love that. And I was just sitting here listening to you and I'm thinking to myself, like she has 18 years on the road and she's a trooper and you're so happy. And you have this like really nice way about yourself that I feel like it isn't like common, with a veteran officer.
Mhm.
You seem very lighthearted, and I really admire that. What as we like wind down our conversation, I know that our listeners are going to pick up that vibe and they're going to be like, I want to be like that. Like I want to fucking survive this job, right? Because I talk a lot about that and job survival and stuff. Can you give some advice to how to survive like some job, just kind of like wrapping it up? Like I know you've touched on it, but would you just summarize like how to survive this job?
Stay present. I mean,
Mhm.
if I'm going to give just two words, it would be stay present. Um, because that's what saves us. Being present to ourselves. I mean, when we think about, tactics, right? We think of the 365 degrees of awareness, and we're watching over our shoulder, behind our back, watching our partners all the time. So we're present, but to really be present, to really feel how we're showing up at any given moment. This is both in the job and then outside of the job, right?
Yeah.
When we go home to our family,
Yeah.
being present. How and if my wife was listening right now, she'd be like, yeah, when are you going to be present? Because I'm always thinking, like, what's the next project I need to do? What's the next, the next thing? Like, the sink's leaking, I got to fix that. Like,
Yeah.
but still, being being present to what you're experiencing
Yeah.
in each moment. Is it, what am I feeling in my body? What am I feeling? Now, we're not doing this, let me say, very importantly, we're not saying what am I feeling in my body as we're walking into a scene, right? We've
Right.
got to develop that skill before that, so that we know, as I'm driving up, like, as I'm coming up to it, my heart's racing. Okay, great. How do I calm that down? Okay, deep breaths. Now I'm present in the moment. I came back to the moment. here I am, now I can see. Because when we're tapped in and connected to ourselves, then we can see so much more, and we can see through our intuition. And
Yeah.
so we can feel more confident about, our choices and our decisions that we're making.
Mhm.
Because it's not just that quickly running mind.
Mhm.
It's that feeling, that deep sense of presence of self
Mhm.
that we're showing up with.
Mm.
And it's not an overnight immediate thing, but I think once we have, like, once that seed is planted,
Mhm.
and once we hear, oh, stay present, deep breaths, oh, you know now that seed's been planted, and we're gonna remember that, like, we
Yes.
just are.
Shelley, where can everybody find you? They're gonna want to hang out with you. Where can
Ooh,
they
that'd
hang
be fun.
out?
So we well, um, soon they can hang out with me early mornings, on Zoom, doing some intensati, and I will post that on my website once I have an actual schedule for that. Right now, my website is espcoachingllc.com. So
Okay.
ESP, like, Echo Sierra Papa coaching LLC. Don't forget the LLC.com.
Okay.
Or Shelley M coaching.com. It's Shelley with an EY.
I love that. And are you on social media, Shelley?
Oh yeah, I am. I'm on Instagram. Shelley L Mass is me. And I am also on the Facebook.
Yay.
Just my name, Shelley Massengill. And there's also Empowerment Solutions and Performance Coaching, is my coaching page on
Very
there.
cool. And I will have all of this in the show notes so the listeners can just listen, click, find you. I just want to say thank you. Obviously, thank
Awesome.
you for your time. Thank you for your service. I appreciate this conversation immensely. I know the girls are going to get so much out of this.
Oh,
You bring so
this is
much.
this is like a dream come true. Like, I can't tell you how excited I was when you were like, I want you on the show. I'm like, oh my gosh, I was so
Uh,
excited. Like, because I mean,
you know,
I've been very bad at keeping up recently, but I love you, Haley. And voice to text is awesome. um, but I mean, I love what you're doing, and it's just so awesome. So thank
well,
you.
I appreciate that. It's I think it's the right platform now. You know what I mean? I had to get
Yeah.
things squared away and yeah, man. And the other night, and I don't know, like I saw you, we texted, and I'm like, shit, you have got to come on because it has been a while, but you have so much to offer. And I just am so excited for this podcast. So thank you so much.